I hope the night was not too wild and the coffee did the job, because we have a lot of topics to discuss right now. In front of me, I have two great speakers. Sasha, he is founder of Learn Near Club, and Noma, I pronounced it correctly, technical governance specialist at Stable Lab. And my name is Matej, I work at Calimero Network. So you saw the presentation of our CTO Chabi, so I don't need to repeat what Calimero is, but we are building applications for self-sovereignty, so that's why I'm here. So before we jump into the questions, I would just like to give you a little bit more time to introduce yourself, so audience knows from where the answers are coming from. So what is the background behind the answers? So Noma, if you can start.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm Noma. I am a DAO lover, a technical governance specialist. I contribute to various Ethereum DAOs and DAOs on Near, including Near DevHub, the decentralized body that is supporting developers on Near. A lot of my work revolves around creating products for DAOs, framework optimization, and really just making what we're doing in this decentralized space make a little bit more sense. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here talking about the intersection of AI agents, DAOs, and privacy. I think it's a really timely conversation with how much attention AI is getting, and I think this space around DAOs is still really mystified to a lot of people, so I'm really happy to contribute to this conversation, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. I'm Sasha, I'm founder of Learn Near Club, and as you can grab it, my passion is learning. Learning is about empowering individuals, and there is no empowered individuals without privacy. So I'm excited to be on this panel, and let's see what you can do about it.
Thank you so much. So now I will ask you questions, and at the end there will be time for your questions. So please, if you have any question during this discussion, write it down, remember it, and then later we can answer it. So, Noma, first question for you. How do you see the intersection of governance and privacy, particularly in the context of data ownership?
Absolutely. I think there's a really interesting intersection of governance and privacy. I think with coordinating a decentralized contributor base, there are tons of limitations that currently exist to folks contributing at their full capacity, and a lot of that is around privacy. And so I think one thing that DAOs face, the existential problem of DAOs, is low participation, low voter turnout, and I'm really interested in seeing the way that privacy-preserving solutions will be able to sort of counterbalance that dilemma. I think that, for example, potentially integrating things like a ZK solution in voting could help voters feel more at ease, could also help to limit bureaucracy as it relates to just balancing perspectives and DAOs. So I think there's a really interesting intersection there. I'm also really keen on seeing more of the, in DAOs especially, we see delegates taking on more of the role to bridge that gap in terms of like participation, and I think that right now delegates are holding tons of power in DAOs with this liquid democracy setup, and I think that privacy-preserving solutions will help to, I think, really just create a level of security and privacy at the individual level, but also have that transparency at the aggregate level.
We will mention a little bit later more about the challenges, so we can see what is up to there. Sasha, how do you envision the role of self-sovereignty evolving in Web3 and the future of Internet?
This is a very simple question, right? Like, I mean, generally speaking, right, there is no future if we do not figure out the privacy stuff, right? Because like the right of private transactions, this is like built in our human nature. And it's applicable for DAOs, right? Like extreme transparency is extreme. Like it's not what we feel comfortable with, right? And same applicable for your user data. Like if your data is open, you don't actually own it, right? But everybody owns it. If you don't own it, you don't care. If you don't care, you're not an efficient individual, right? So like your data is valuable and you have to protect it. Like if you're willing to trade it, that's fine. But you have to understand like the price for that, right? Like free does not mean free of charge. So I'm super excited about how Web3 technology can help us to figure out how we protect and how we own our data, and in general and in particular, how we share fractions of our data when it's needed, not just giving everything everywhere, and then we are done, right?
I mean, that means that everyone here that means that we care about our privacy, and we are looking for solutions which will preserve it. Let's get a little bit back more about governance and the protocol. So how governance impact protocol growth, or it doesn't, and stability in decentralized applications?
Great question. I think governance is actually extremely critical to the growth and stability or security of protocols. For one, I think that governance really enables protocols to remain agile and have this level of adaptive evolution is what I would call it. When you have a well-designed governance system that is participatory, that is representative, you find that people are able to propose changes to the protocol that can be implemented to respond to the broader market environment, able to propose things like integrations, partnerships. All these things are critical to the growth of the protocol and affect its top line metrics. And so, yeah, we could draw that line from governance to growth. I think governance also inspires really active communities, which can help protocols grow by organic marketing. We can also say that governance contributes to protocol security by being responsive to things like bugs, things like hacks and threats. And so, yeah, that's like a really interesting line that I think not many people are aware of how governance can actually contribute to protocol growth and security. But I think more and more, there's more visibility around how the work that's done, currently in like forums, on voting portals, although it might seem pretty boring to people, but it's actually extremely important.
Yes, that's actually true. I mean, now a lot of AI agents, AI tools are coming into the protocols, but they need to be somehow organized, limited, basically, to define the rules, how they can interact with the chains. So, Sasha, in your thoughts, how do you see AI agents interacting with self-sovereign identities, and what role could they play in Web3 ecosystem?
I would not limit it to Web3 ecosystem because, like, after all, like it is web, right? Like I started my career in technology before even the web existed, right? As we know it's today. And now we are talking about Web3, and it's going to be Web4, and so on. I'm super excited, like about the presentations that our friends gave yesterday about trusted execution environment, where you are sitting at the device and actually it computes your data and shares your data, only the portion of it, and I think this is the way to go, right? Because like after all, like you don't want to share all your data with centralized AIs, right? Like OpenAI, Meta AI, even Grok, because like those AIs, they empower those who are already in power, and this is the path to nowhere. This is the path to wonderful road of matrix, right? Like there is no disease, no problems, right? Everything is equal. Or maybe not because you don't know, right? Because you know nothing. You know only what they tell you, what they teach you. And this is already a huge issue within in learning industry and education industry, right? And if we do not control ourselves, what we want to learn, how we want to learn, and if we do not have power like mental power and physical power to choose our own way, right? We are done. So this trustless executed environment is the way to go, and this is, I believe, like this is the major push we need to make nowadays.
I have a question for the audience. Who is the member of DAO right here? Okay. And who is using some AI tool? Okay, because my next question is, can we combine those two? So, Noma, what are the potential benefits and challenges of using AI to automate parts of the governance processes in DAOs?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting to think about the intersection of these two fields. For one, I personally think that it'll help contributors become more productive in terms of handing over some of that extremely manual, extremely time-consuming administrative work to allow people focus on more strategic objectives. I think that would be a great benefit when those two intersect. One challenge that I can see is, I think folks, you can also see it with the proliferation of things like ChatGPT and assisted writing tools, is this sort of over-reliance on AI. And I think that when we potentially start to depend on it too much with these high context environments like DAOs, we can actually miss a lot of the context and nuance that is required to make decisions that are beneficial for these extremely specialized protocols. But otherwise, I see tons of great benefits, automating these administrative tasks, helping contributors become more effective and just speed up their workflows. I think that it'll also be really interesting to think about how AI can actually help to ingest data and give more like data-driven insights for governance, because I will say that currently governance is quite a subjective game, and I would love to see it become more objective over time. I also think that although like AI is really cool to most of us that are here, it's quite intimidating and frightening to a lot of the majority. And so one of the challenges that I can see is potentially, alienating people who might be a little afraid of like, what is this robot doing in the DAO? Like, who is this? And that can actually deter participation. So I think there are both sides to look at and consider while merging these two fields.
Yeah, everyone is afraid. I mean, at some point we're looking at Terminator that AI will own the internet, AI will own everything. But what are we talking about is that user owns the internet. We own our data, we own everything that we created. So, Sasha, what is your perspective on the role of DAOs in promoting that, in promoting more user-owned internet, user-owned data?
Yeah, this is tricky, right? So I've been following DAOs for a while, like since Maker DAO appears. I don't know, so I don't think the DAO itself has anything with promotion, right? As per se, but it's still like a very, very wide space for the experiments, right? How we can make the decision process more efficient, right? Like within different individuals, and I don't think we need. This is my very personal opinion, right? So we need more objective stuff. I like subjects, right? Like I like being a subject, not an object. So the goal is to somehow make all of us, like in those participants, delegates, and contributors, whatever, playing a net positive game. So being subject is cool, but let's help one another. Cooperation always wins.
Absolutely, and just to piggyback off that point, I think when we talk about having more objectivity, I think DAOs are currently stewarding billions of dollars in funds through their treasuries, and these are being allocated to different initiatives that are supposed to be impacting growth, right? But nobody quite knows that for sure. And so I think that where these data-driven insights come in is really helping us draw like a line between the activities that the DAO is taking on and the impacts. And so I think that's where the objectivity will come into play.
Sasha, do you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Cooperation always wins, right? Yeah, I think this is good that we have different opinions on that, right? So eventually we'll figure it out, right? Yeah.
I mean, that's the beauty of collaboration. Everyone looks from their own perspective, and at the end, you come to the goal, basically, what needs to be done. I mean, saying about that, there are some trends, I assume, that are going into the DAO about the governments. So they somehow are shaping the future of self-sovereign applications. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, what is the trend right now? You mentioned some challenges, how they affect the trend. So what is coming?
Yeah, I think one thing that I will say is really interesting that I'm seeing DAOs experiment with is different incentive structures for contributors to better align them with the long-term growth of the protocol. When we talk about DAO challenges and the diversity in DAOs in terms of opinions and contributions, it can be hard to balance folks with short-term sights about profits, about incentives, and the growth of the protocol with how the protocol hopes to evolve over a much longer time scale. And so we see DAOs today playing with some of these incentives to just better align them, to help contributors have more stake over time, to also weed out folks who don't have the best interests of the DAO in mind and are just there to extract. So that's something that is really interesting to me. Another really interesting trend in the DAO space is the concept of futarchy, which is actually prediction markets for governance, so creating a liquid market around governance. And I think one thing that we have a hard time seeing in DAOs is like folks with enough skin in the game and with enough stake to make decisions that are actually beneficial to the protocol. And I think futarchy is a concept that is sort of helping us to understand that better and put that in practice.
Interesting. I mean, there are a lot of topics that can be separate discussion.
Absolutely.
So glad that you mentioned all of that. So Sasha, just the last question for you before the audience questions. So right now, if someone that is interested into the privacy, data control, and all of this, how can they start? What they can do? Like, what is the next step after they leave this panel? Where to go?
Yeah, you guys don't have to leave this room, you know, like start from learning, right? Start from the beginning, right? Explore how is your data being shared so far, right? What they know about you and what you know about them. I mean, big tech and governments and stuff, right? And I think like the obvious first steps is to deinstall applications from your phone. And if you desperately need to use some meta products and stuff, use it in privacy-oriented browsers, like Firefox, right? Like forget about others. But the most important is to get fully understanding about how important your privacy is, right? And yesterday, one guy gave a talk, right? The guy who is in very difficult circumstances. We have to support such people, right? And I would like, if you listen to me at all, right, give a big applauses to Calimero people who are not just smart, but they brave enough to tackle this problem. And let's go there. Like start with the learning, and when you learn something, share your skills and knowledge with others. So that's basically it.
Thank you so much. So, does anyone have any question? We have some more time. Or if you can also catch us in front of this room. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.